Hey guys, Greenbird here. I hope everyone is doing awesome. Today I just want to do a real short video on an arrow that I am repairing, I'm working on. This is a river cane arrow with a Eastern two-fletch style fletching to it. It does not historically accurately reflect any particular type of build based upon a particular group of indigenous people. This is just my take on a primitive style arrow. Just to give it a quick rundown before I get to the details, these are turkey feathers, obviously, with the Eastern two-fletch style. The fletching is not that great, I'll be honest with you on that. But that being said, I'll tell you that this arrow flies straight and smooth and fast. So I have noticed that even the not so pretty fletchings work really, really well. But of course, it's always nice to have those real nice, pretty fletchings. I haven't trimmed this at all. I could trim this and probably get a little bit more speed on it, but this is a target arrow for me. I bound the knock area for obvious reasons that helps keep the arrow from splitting from the pressure of the bowstring. I probably don't need to bind it as much as I did. Probably won't moving forward. Same thing with the fletching. A little bit of overkill on the sinew, but it is what it is. It works great. This arrow will last me forever if I just keep replacing it, because I have designed this so that it accepts foreshafts, which is exactly the repair I'm doing on this right now. If you look down there, you can see the broken off foreshaft that's in here. That's because I had a field point on here. It wasn't a stone point, it was a field point just for practice. And I learned something really important, and that's really the whole point of this video. So if you look at the tip of this arrow, it's bound with sinew to prevent it from cracking. And the reason that I need to repair this, and the reason that it did crack the way it did, is because that binding, the arrow itself was about 1/8 of an inch longer than it is now without binding on it. And what happened was, maybe the arrow was this much longer, maybe a little bit more, maybe closer to 1/4 of an inch. And when it hit a hard surface, because I was stump shooting, it split that river cane in probably 4 different places at least, all the way down to where the binding was. So the binding did its job and worked, but I didn't do a good job on binding it all the way up to the tip, which is what I should have done. So what I did was I just cut off that top area that was cracked anyway. It needed to be removed. But I'm hoping that because now the binding reaches directly to the tip of the arrow, when I put the new foreshaft in there, if it breaks, it'll break at the foreshaft, snap off there. It won't split the arrow itself. Because like I said, this arrow, this should last me almost indefinitely until I lose it. Even though the fletching could be a little bit better, maybe I can repair that later. But honestly, this flies so good, I don't see the point. Now you can see I could have trimmed the arrows. Trimmed the feathers a lot better than I did. Those burn marks, obviously, I put in to kind of match the fletching. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. So if you're making a primitive style arrow like this, make sure you're binding all the way up to the tip. At least if you're using river cane, using a material like this, bind it all the way up to the tip. If you can, I guess on a side note, if you can, try and make where you put the foreshaft in. Mine comes down to about here, I think. But if you possibly can, end it on a node. That does give you a little bit extra support, extra strength. I didn't do that on this, but that's all right. Not a big deal. Same thing with your knock. I think I did do it on this knock, but I can't tell because of the sinew, but that gives you a little bit of extra support, extra strength. So anyway, I hope you found this video at least entertaining, to say the least. And if you have any advice on how you build your arrows, or any techniques or tricks that help them perform better, please let me know. I spend a lot of time making the triple fletch feathers. A lot more difficult, a lot more time consuming, and I'm super, super pleased with these 2 fletches. I've been using these for a year or 2 now, and about a year or so, maybe 2, and they work so good, I'll never go back. So I hope everyone's doing awesome. Hope your weather's warm and fantastic, and life is great. See you next time. So here's how the arrow looks after I've drilled out that broken foreshaft in there. I don't know if you can see. Let me try and find the right angle. There it is right there. I don't know if you can see that, but there is sort of a crack on the inside of the shaft. I don't know. Anyway, it runs down to about here, so that wrapping really does help prevent the wood from splitting. So all we have to do now is make a new foreshaft for it, and she's ready to fly again.